Wow, well, this certainly takes your breath away. When I'm surrounded by so much beauty like this, I almost don't want to do photography. I just want to stand here and soak it all in. There's so much to see in the subtleties of the moving water, the beautiful reflections, the light, the mist in the distance. It's just incredible. Endless opportunities for photography, endless opportunities of things to see. And I wasn't expecting the conditions to be like this today. So when I drove into the village and saw this scene that's currently surrounding me, my gosh, my heart lit up. And I couldn't help but say, wow. This is fascinating me. I'm currently in Findhorn, which is somewhere that I come several times a week. It's really close to where I live. And of course, being in Scotland and being by the coast and a river estuary like this, the conditions change frequently. Although getting conditions like we have today, where there's mist, where it's this calm, where it's this still, where there's a haziness in the air, it's quite a rarity. And coming here today to a location that I know so incredibly well and seeing it in these conditions, it's really fascinating because as I'm zooming into different spots and photographing different aspects of this landscape, to me it doesn't look like Murray. It looks like I am more inland, like in Perthshire or up at Loch Ness. The images, especially through the telephoto lens, give off that sense of being really deep in the heart of the Scottish Highlands in more of your, I guess, typical Scottish landscapes. I just find it really interesting to be somewhere so close to home that means so much to me, and seeing it in these conditions and seeing it through this lens today, it's such a real blessing, and it's a real lesson in the importance of, I guess, conditions. I speak a lot about how we can create images in any weather conditions, and I 100% believe that. I think we need to know what sort of subjects work well in different light conditions and different weathers. But when you're greeted with conditions like this, which are far more of a rarity, there is something inside of us that lights up, that switches on, that takes our breath away. And it's these moments that make me personally feel so alive and so grateful to be here on planet Earth, enjoying this life. It's these moments of stillness, of natural beauty, that remind us how peaceful, how calm, how relaxing life can be, and actually what a blessing it is to be here, experiencing this. And these conditions today, we're certainly not expected, and that makes it even more special. But it was me taking the decision today to come to Findhorn to get some lunch and just take some breathing space from the computer and from other things that I'm working on just now to give myself this experience. And my gosh, what an experience it is. Today's video was meant to be a tale of two halves. Last week I came to this exact spot and I was perched on the end of the pier like I am today, photographing the water moving, that interplay between water, light and also things that were in the water. So last week I was photographing moving feathers, moving leaves and moving foam, as well as the motion of the water. It was a very windy day, so we had these surges of water coming through, and I was focusing on something in the water like a leaf and experimenting with how I could use the water to create some really interesting abstract photographs. I got some beautiful images that day, but because it was so windy, I didn't really do any filming. So my plan today was to come along and do the same exercise again and to speak you through what I was doing and to round off that video. However, coming here and having conditions like this, it's really inspiring me to switch things up today. Rather than photographing the motion of the water and the interplay between light and water, I want to zoom out and photograph more of the landscape. Although I'm saying zoom out, I'm using my telephoto lens, but I'm zooming into aspects of the landscape. We've got this beautiful mist across the river. It's absolutely stunning. Some boats still on the water and some buoys which are giving the image some context. And one of the greatest gifts of photography is how it enables us to change our perspective. You know, we see the world from eye level and we see it from this, I think I remember reading somewhere that we see the world at about 24 millimeters, equivalent of a lens. So when you have a lens that you can zoom into things like this, my 100 to 400 millimeter, we're able to see things that the eye cannot see and change that perspective. It's absolutely fascinating me to see the town in the distance with all the mist around it, the church steeples sticking up and then the wind turbines on the hill behind it, and just how the mist is segregating the different parts of the landscape, the man-made and the natural, and also being able to zoom in and focus on different aspects of the water in the distance as well. This is so beautiful and incredibly calming to be out in. This is also a really good lesson in working with what you have on the day to create your images. When I was here the other day, because we had the constant motion of the surging water in the winds, all the debris was being taken down the river. And we were also getting these beautiful ripples of water, and the light was very different that day as well to today, and it was the perfect conditions for creating abstract images of water, motion and light. Today, however, because it is so calm and we haven't got these surges of water, at the end of the pier we have this build-up of leaves, twigs, sludge that's come down the river. It's not particularly pretty, and we also don't have the same interesting interplay between light and water that we had the other day, and it is really not favourable for these abstract images of the water. But we have the landscape, we have the vaster vista, we have that interplay between the light and water, but on a vaster scale. And these stunning reflections that calm conditions like today bring out in the landscape. So there's a really good lesson here, I think, regarding approaching the conditions that are presented to you in order to create the most interesting images you can in that moment. And as you evolve and progress as a photographer, you begin to learn what sort of images work well in different conditions, and I hope by showing you the contrast between last week and this week and the variations between weather, opportunities, light, conditions in the exact same place at the exact same time of day will just show you how things change and evolve with the weather and the seasonal changes. There's a cormorant here, which I actually saw fly down and arrive just as I got here. And then he went off in that direction, which isn't, the most exciting for photographing him because all the interesting light is here. And now he's just come back. I'm really hoping that I can get some interesting photographs of him, because how the light is interplaying with him silhouetted would make some great images. Well, he's just gone off into the distance, so I think I'm going to go and enjoy some lunch now. I've not got much battery life left because I wasn't really intending to come out and do much photography today. I was not expecting the conditions to be like this. But I'm going to go and eat some lunch that I've bought from the lovely bakehouse, my favourite place to get lunch. And then I'm going to just see if taking a little bit of a break will enable me to see if I notice anything else when I come back from my car, but also to see if the light and the conditions change in the next half an hour, which may open up some more interesting image opportunities. Talk about divine timing. I've just finished my lunch and straight away the sun has now come out. Wow. Days like today are truly fascinating. Now the tide is starting to go out and we've got all of these ripples appearing now here, bringing the water back out to sea. So yeah, that calmness that we had not that long ago is starting to shift with the tides, with all that water going out to sea. And the light that came out there temporarily for about 5 minutes was absolutely beautiful. Look behind me now at this reflection. I didn't take my wide angle lens back out with me, but my gosh, that would make a gorgeous, gorgeous landscape image. It's only been about 20, maybe 25 minutes since I was last out, and it's just amazing how that change happens so quickly. And now I'm actually being quite drawn to the water rather than the vast landscape. It seems now that the sun is out that the really nice, calm, peaceful, misty, reflective surface that we had has now gone. But behind me, we've got this beautiful opportunity for photographing the reflections of the old buildings against the water, and particularly with that blue light. Oh, it just looks stunning. River estuaries are such fascinating places to be. The shifting tides, the moving water, the shifting light. It's just a never-ending world of discovery. There's been so many things that I have pondered being here today, and I want to end this video by sharing them with you. The first one is, as we've got a jet going overhead, the first one is, I came out today simply to have lunch and to round off last week's video. What I hadn't anticipated was how beautiful the conditions were going to be and how that would lead me to be out here much longer than I was anticipating. But that experience I've had this afternoon has been well worth it. I felt so peaceful, so calm, and so incredibly blessed to have witnessed the beautiful, calm mist at the peak of high tides. There's barely a breath of wind in the air today, and that incredible reflection that we had with the stillness and the calm and the mist was phenomenal. And this is something I started incorporating into my life about a year or two ago, was, if I've got a day where I'm on the computer a lot, taking a break, usually around lunchtime, to come somewhere to get some breathing space. And it's a really good way just to ensure that we get out into nature every day, to combine it with something that we are doing anyway. Most people have lunch, not everybody does, but a lot of people will have lunch. So, while time and circumstances may not always mean that you can go somewhere different, something that, you may want to consider is, why not make your lunch or come out somewhere and get a takeaway, take a packed lunch with you, whatever it is, and go somewhere local that's in nature and just spend at least an hour there while you eat. Enjoy your food in nature, go for a little walk, do a bit of photography. It's the perfect way to break up a day. The second thing has been embracing the seasons. November is an interesting time of year because we are now at that time where we're beginning to prepare for the depths of winter. But often times of year like this are so filled with so much beauty. The stillness, the mist, the crisper air opens up more interesting light and weather conditions for us to photograph. And while it can sometimes be a thought to come out in colder weather, especially when you have calm days like today, it is 100% worth it. And the biggest lesson I think that's come from today is how much the weather conditions change day on day. I've been here exactly the same time of day as I was last week, but of course the weather is completely different. The tide was slightly different as well, and because of that, the opportunities that were available to me were different. So, when we come out and we have these kind of preconceived ideas of what we want to photograph, today I was very much like, come and I'll do some more of that abstract photography and speak you guys through it. I got here and that was certainly not the best option given the conditions we had. And as you saw, what I ended up photographing instead. But it's really good to see that conditions forever change. And if you are out one day and you see beautiful opportunities, make sure you make the most of it in that moment, whether it's simply sitting and enjoying it or whether it is photographing it, because you could come back to the same place at the same time, a week later, and the conditions could be completely different. And that's one of the blessings in life. Sometimes we focus on the negative aspect of that, the fact that because things are forever changing, we can't always predict them, and if we're having a really good time in life, and then things suddenly change, it can be hard to adapt to. But it's also fantastic because if you are having a day where you're finding things challenging, or you go out with your camera and you're not seeing any opportunities, you know that things are forever changing. And if you come out again, even sometimes an hour later, but certainly a different day or a different week, the conditions could be completely different. So never rule out a location or opportunities because of one visit and one set of weather conditions that you have. It's worth going back time and time again. And when I come somewhere like Findhorn, which I know so incredibly well, and see conditions like we have today, which is quite rare, it just shows that even the places we know so incredibly well, we can witness them in completely different circumstances and conditions. And that in so many ways is such a blessing. You never know what you're going to see and experience when you go out the house. So make the most of it and spend that time every day if you can to go out into nature. And while I appreciate that not everybody lives in such beautiful parts of the world as I do, I'm sure there'll be little pockets of nature and opportunities where you are. And if you really feel like you live somewhere where there really isn't much opportunities at all, I hope that you can find some comfort in what you do have, but also make sure you spend time every year going somewhere that does light you up. It's so lovely to get away and to spend time in places that are a bit different to what we normally spend time in, and also these places that light you up. And with that in mind, if you would like to come to this part of Scotland and experience it, I am hosting 2 mindful coastal photography retreats here next year, and we will be coming to Findhorn as part of that. And very soon I'll be announcing dates for next year's immersive photography weekends as well. And although they are based on a beautiful farm in the countryside, it is only 10 minutes from here. And some people tend to stay on a day or two after the weekend so they can do some exploring of their own and see these places. So if any of that is of interest to you, you can find details on my website. Creating time every year to spend time in places that inspire us will just enrich our lives. After all, we are here to grow, to develop and to experience things. And if we can make the effort and the commitment to do that regularly, and certainly every year if we can, then it's amazing how that can enrich your life. So as always, I want to say a huge thank you for watching. I hope you'll feel inspired to head out into nature wherever you are this week. And if it's autumn where you are, and if you are lucky enough to get similar conditions to here, I hope you enjoy it. This is such a beautiful time of year. The mist is incredible when it comes out. And get out and enjoy it. And hopefully you can create some beautiful images in the process.